Hello, my name is Patrick Kelly, and today we're going to discuss NASCAR safety, more specifically the Hans device, its importance in NASCAR, and its overall history in general. The Hans device is the head and neck support device worn by all NASCAR drivers in its three top circuits. We now move to the history of the device and how it works. The device was created by two men, Dr. Robert Hubbard, a biochemical engineer for General Motors, and his friend Jim Downing, a professional race car driver in the IndyCar racing circuits. The two men came together in the early 1980s, shortly after a mutual friend of theirs died in a race incident. The two men discovered that basal skull fractures, BSFs, or whiplash as it is more commonly known, was the cause of over 22 driver deaths per year. The two men saw this as a major unsolved safety issue throughout racing circuits, and sought to correct this issue with the creation of the Hans device. The first device, and its prototype, were created in 1986, worn by Downing himself. The second generation of the device was created in 1999. This was the device that would later, in 2001, make its way into NASCAR. We look off to the right here, an image of what the device looks like today. We'll now take you through how it works. The device uses a raised collar and two polyester fabric tethers to secure the driver's head. The shoulder belts hold the tall, stiff collar securely in place. The tethers link the side of the driver's helmet to the collar anchor points. Restraint provided by the device reduces neck tension by 81%, shear by 72%, and total neck load by 78%. Once the device is secured to a driver's helmet, and once they are in place in their car, their head and neck are in sync with their torso, remaining in sync throughout the rest of the race. We now look at an early version of the device, a more simplistic version compared to the version on the previous slide. Compared to the version on the previous slide, this device was simple for drivers to use. All they had to do was sling it over their shoulders, rest their head in this back area, and they were good to go. But this version of the device is what paved the way for what it is today. We now take a more in-depth look at the device today. Here you can see a helmet tether point. These are featured on all helmets of NASCAR drivers. When securing the device, the two tethers secure to the anchor points on the helmet. Once then secured, the driver can throw the device over their shoulders, rest their head on the back collar plate, and climb into their car. We'll now look at a side angle of a device. This is a side angle of a Hans device worn by former NASCAR Cup Series driver Dale Earnhardt Jr. Once secured to his helmet, as it is here, and safely on his shoulders, all Earnhardt Jr. has to do is climb into his car, secure his seatbelts, and he is good to go. We now look at the implementation of the device into NASCAR. Now, even though this device was created in the late 1980s, and the second generation of the device was created in 1999, the device did not make its way into NASCAR until 2001. The Hans device became a mandated safety feature in NASCAR for all drivers following the death of Dale Earnhardt Sr. in 2001. Dale Earnhardt Sr. died in the last lap of the Daytona 500 of February of 2001. It was following his death it was discovered that BSF, basal skull fractures, whiplash, was a cause of his death. Because of the safety features of NASCAR at the time, his torso and lower chest were secured by his seatbelts, but his head and neck kept going. It was determined that if the Hans device had existed at the time, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s life may have been saved. So following his death in 2001, the Hans device became a mandated safety feature from that point on in NASCAR, and still is today. We look now at quotes from NASCAR drivers, how they feel about the device. More specifically, Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman is quoted here saying, "The Hans device was the first step, and the safer barrier was the second step. But the head and neck restraint device, in any form, has been a big bonus to us in safety without a doubt," said Ryan Newman. "You never know what kind of crash is going to lead to which situation." Since the implementation of this device in 2001, not a single driver has died in the last 20 years of the sport in any of the top three series. Dale Earnhardt Sr. remains the only driver death. We now look at the importance of the device today. Going back to the quote from Ryan Newman, we will examine a crash that he himself sustained over a season ago. These images are from a last lap wreck of the Daytona 500 of 2020. Ryan Newman was in the lead, about to win the race, when a last lap wreck occurred, sending Newman's car into the air, hit here by the 32 car of Corey LaJoie. Newman's car flew in the air and came to a fiery wreck at the bottom of the racetrack, skidding across the start-finish line and coming to stop at the end of the pit road. Newman's condition was unknown for over a day. But 3 days later, Ryan Newman was released from Halifax Medical Center, walking out of the hospital with his daughters hand in hand. How was Ryan Newman able to walk away from a wreck such as this, where in previous eras of the sport would have killed any driver that had sustained this level of injuries? The Hans device. Because of the safety that the device provided, Newman suffered a mild concussion and a few bruised ribs. He walked out of the hospital safely 3 days later because this device was a mandated safety feature. Because of this device, countless drivers' lives have been saved, and wrecks such as this, where in pictures look horrendous and terrible and should be deadly, are not, because of the safety that this device provides. It is one of the safest and most important features of NASCAR safety in recent years. Thank you.